and welcome to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. It's a Wednesday morning edition, and we got a good one for you lined up today. We're going to kick it off here in just a second with former Gator running back Fred Taylor, second half of the portion of the program. Frangie, the voice of the Jaguars, will join us as well. But first, let's go to the Titan MR hotline. We're joined by one of the greatest running backs of all time, Fred Taylor. How you doing, Fred T?
I'm admiring your man cave, your background right here, man.
Yeah, I got all those
stuff.
You only play for two teams. I played for a ton of teams in the NFL. I bounced around. But Fred, let's go back. You were on a really good team at Glade Central with some really good teammates. I always ask all the former players when they come on here, were you definitely going to be a Florida Gator, or were you leaning towards going somewhere else?
That's a great question, man, out the gate. I committed to Florida State. I can just say that much. I committed to Florida State. That was my first visit. And I only took 4 visits. I took Florida State, Georgia, Michigan State, and UF was my last visit. Florida State was a team I grew up as a child. I liked. Their colors were similar to my high school colors, so I liked them. Excuse me. Georgia and Michigan State was pretty much, we were getting some money from a local guy. Excuse me. So it was sort of a favor to visit those schools. Never really wanted to go that far away from home. And then Florida was my last visit, but it felt like home. I had my grandmother's brother lived local at the time before he passed on. So that transition, having never lived away from home from Belgrade, Gainesville, he made it a lot easier for me. So just going there to visit felt right. The people were great. The hosts were great. And it just felt right. So I committed to Florida. I remember getting a call from Coach Bowden. Said, "Son, you must be less of a man to change your mind on us." Well, I'm only 17, Coach, 18. I guess I am less of a man at the moment. But I have to go with my heart. It's taking me, more so than my word at the time. And it's the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Who was the coach on Coach Spurrier's staff that was responsible for recruiting your area?
Charlie. Coach Strong, baby. It was Coach Strong and Coach Zook. They sort of double teamed me a bit. But Charlie was down a lot. Coach Zook was down. And Coach Franks would come and check me out once they felt, this is our guy. But Coach Strong initiated. Then they brought in Wildman Zook to pretty much seal the deal. So I had 2 great guys to nab me out of Belgrade.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, let's talk a little bit about your career at Florida. Eric Rhett's our all-time leading rusher. Most people think it's Emmett. But in my personal opinion, not because you're on my show, I think you're the best running back we've ever had here, even though Rhett was my teammate, is because I think you had speed and power all together. You were a big back that could run. Talk a little bit about, not only you weren't ever, quote, the featured back, because it seemed like Coach Spurrier played multiple backs, Eli Williams, Gary Jackson, a bunch of different guys. Just talk a bit about how it was to kind of have to share the carries when you're here at Florida.
I guess the way I came in as a freshman, I played a lot as a freshman. I led the team in rushing. I think it was just over 800 and some yards or something close to that or something. So coming in that way, and I guess the way I grew up, the way my grandmother raised me, we were in a 2-bedroom apartment, 5 kids. She raised 5 kids in a 2-bedroom. There's 6 people in a 2-bedroom, so we had to figure out how to share. So splitting time with Eli and Terry, we were winning. That made it a lot easier when you're winning. But I knew I would get in the game at some point. It didn't necessarily matter if I started at the time. I guess later on I grew into my confidence in my ability, and I felt that later I deserved to be a starter. Definitely around my senior year, it would have been a great battle. But I thought Coach Spurrier did a good job of keeping us all happy. We were a talented group that were coached real well by Coach Franks. And the guys were open. I think more than anything, if I can throw Eli under the bus a little bit, Eli never wanted to come out the game, but not that he was being greedy, I guess. But he's a player. You know, he loved playing the game. And there were times when I got a little upset. You know, if I got 3 carries in my series, 1, 2, 3 touchdown. My series is over. Now I gotta wait
Right.
2 more series. So, and it didn't matter how many plays you played, it was just series. No matter whatever the outcome was, it was series, unless we had a special design, maybe a reverse or quarterback, a halfback pass or something. Then Terry was the specialist for that. But it was great. You know, early on, it was great. It actually prepared me for my time in the NFL later in my career with Jones Drew. You know, we had to split and do that rotation thing, become a two-headed monster. But at Florida, it was great, man. The memories, the things that happened, the wins, the people that we met, the competition, the guys that we played against. Um, you know, those moments were all special. I didn't have time to be selfish or be a crybaby or anything. It was just do whatever you can to help the team.
When you look at that team, you were part of the national championship team in '96, and I'm sure you've watched a lot of college football, especially with your son playing. From a talent standpoint,
Oh,
the
yeah.
talent that was on that '96 and the '95 team, I mean, gosh, that's got to be one of the best Florida teams in the history of the game. Think about it. You, Eli, and Terry, all three of y'all played a long time in the NFL.
Mhm.
You had all those dang receivers, Danny at quarterback, and then not even talking about everybody on the defense. That team was loaded, wasn't it?
Right. It was an amazing defense. I spoke a little bit about that on a recent interview, just the 96 team. And when I came into my own was the 56-13 win against LSU at home against LSU. You know, I was suspended that year, did some knucklehead stuff, missed 3 games. But again, I just go back and say God does everything for a reason. I can get to that later. But just the team itself, the makeup, that year, that moment, will be in the history books forever. Very first national championship team in school history, all that good stuff. But just the players, we had a close knit. We learned from the previous year, having lost to Nebraska. That taught us a lot. It taught Coach Spurrier a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just know we were loaded on offense. Riedel, Ike, Quezzy, just at the receiver position alone. And then you throw in the quarterbacks, the running backs that we mentioned, myself, Eli, Terry. Then you go over to the defensive side of the ball, you know, having guys like the Tico Browns, the Javon Curses, Johnny Rutledges, Mike Peterson, Ed Chester, even though he didn't go pro due to his injury. Ed was a monster. Reggie McGrew, who ended up, you know, going pro there. So we were loaded, and a lot of guys that I left out, but we were loaded, had so much talent, and we actually, I always kid, but I like to think that the class of '94, we sort of created that pipeline of great athletes that came through there, and then those national championships that followed, and in the recruiting classes that followed that '94 class, with the receivers that we brought in, the linebackers, some defensive players that we brought in. I like to say we were one of the best recruiting classes in the University of Florida history. But overall, that '96 team, even the '95 team, but that '96 team, I put it up against any team in Gator history, any team in the history of the NCAA football team. I thought we had a great squad. I go up against my guys all the time and say, I think we would have beat the 2005 or 2001 Canes, or one of those teams considered the greatest teams of all time. They can't sleep on that Gator team, man. We could score on anybody.
That's right. At Chris Dorian Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Dorian Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We're speaking with Gator great Fred Taylor on the Titan
My
Market.
guy, Doughboy. That's my
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Hey, so Fred, when you look back at your Gator career, we'll get to the NFL here in a minute. What's the one moment that stands out the most to you? Is it winning the national title? Is it, you know, the beating FSU, I think in '97 when they were #1 or #2 in the country in the Swamp? Or is there one play, one run that stands out in Fred Taylor's mind?
I think the thing, Shane, that stands out the most um, has something to do with the football field, but it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the football field. You know, getting in trouble in my junior year changed my entire life. I was on the verge of potentially being kicked out of school. I cried and cried and cried, talked to my grandmother every single day, praying with her. I didn't want to get kicked out of school. Um, uh, Coach Spurrier and I, well, I had a student judicial meeting, and they were going to consider how to handle whether they were going to allow me to stay in college or not. And we had the meeting, and towards the end of the meeting, Coach Spurrier just popped up, and he never pops in on those meetings. And he saw something in myself that I didn't necessarily see in myself, obviously. But he came in and he vouched for me. Fred isn't that type of kid. He would never just, steal anything intentionally and all that other stuff. So I gained a lot more respect for him then, just as a person, aside from him being a great coach, but as a person and believing in me. So they ended up not kicking me out of school. Eventually, they gave me 4 games, then they dropped it down to 3. So I missed 3 games that my junior year. In hindsight, I was going to leave Florida and try for the draft along with Riedel and Ike. Didn't care where I was going to get drafted as long as I got drafted on the first day. So I felt I was good enough at those times to get drafted in the first 4 rounds. But God said, no, we're going to slow this thing down. You're going to miss those 3 games. You're not going to have a good draft rating, and you're going to come back your senior year. So he set something in motion that I didn't know at the time that eventually led me back to Florida my senior year, where I became the man in the backfield. Didn't rotate. I only went out when I got tired. Terry was my fullback, and we did some great things together. Rod Frazier, throw Rod in there too. And I had a great senior year. I ended up breaking the Citrus Bowl record in yards and carries that still holds till this day. So that moment changed Fred Taylor for life. Entering the NFL, obviously we being drafted first round, having a solid senior year. But what I carry with me from college, that moment to the NFL, a lot of the knucklehead stuff you think you can, manipulate and get away with, I had to cut that out and become a man. So it helped my pro career.
Yeah, that's a great story. So you get drafted first round very early by the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get to stay close to home. That had to be exciting. And you actually got to play on some good Jaguar teams.
Oh, yeah.
Many of them right now. But you played with Brunell, Baselli, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell. Y'all were close to making it to the Super Bowl. Just talk about what it was like playing in the Jaguars and getting so close to the Super Bowl.
All right, Shane, I'm going to get to that. But Florida State 97 was my best game as a Gator ever. Yeah. So in the Swamp, favorite game ever, 32-29. Okay, going to Jacksonville, an hour and 20 minutes up the road, I felt that I got the best deal in the entire draft. Being so close to college, still being in my home state, didn't have any state taxes. So my friends could come visit me. My college teammates can come visit. They can come to games, my parents. So I felt like I had a great opportunity being in Jacksonville. Gator heaven. So many Gator fans are in Jacksonville. And just getting there, 98, we went 11-5, made the playoffs, end up losing 2. We beat the Patriots in the wild card round. We lost to the Jets in the divisional round. And automatically you think, okay, it's all right. It's going to happen again, because that's how the culture was at Florida. We always had good records, and it happened back to back to back. So in 99, we had an even better year. We went 14-2, lost to the Titans twice in the regular season. And then we lost in the AFC Championship game to the Titans. And again, so close to the Super Bowl, 30 minutes away, because we had to lead at half. So we were 30 minutes away. I still feel like if we had made it, we would have beat the Rams, the greatest show on turf. But that's just my fantasy till this day. No regrets, just a fantasy. Um, and then you go, okay, we'll be okay. We'll get back there again. And then for 5 years, you didn't see the playoffs, and you realize the NFL is what it is. You're gonna have some great seasons, some good seasons. You're gonna have some very good seasons, and then you're also gonna have some crappy seasons: 5-11, 6-10, 97, 97, and it puts things in perspective. It shows you how you have to work a little harder, and it teaches you a lot about the narrow margins and execution and all that stuff. So for me, the preparation for the game excited me more than the actual games a lot of the times, because that preparation part, learning situational football, and then being able to take it to the field, and then having to execute, that makes you a better pro, and it made my career a little bit easier for me.
You were inducted into the, I want to say it's called the Pride of the Jaguar,
Yeah.
Ring of Honor type
Yeah,
deal.
same thing.
What did that mean to you?
It was huge. I didn't set my goal on achieving that feat or that honor. I never set my goal on Hall of Fame. My phone is ringing. I'm sorry. I mostly just wanted to play. I just wanted to play ball. I just wanted to get drafted so I can make some money for my family. And my initial mindset was to move back to Belgrade after 3 years. So shallow, didn't realize what life exposes you to. And I'm glad that didn't happen. And staying in Jacksonville, having those injuries, not leaving Jacksonville, not being able to make it to free agency due to my injuries and not wanting to test the water. I always felt like a bird in the hand was better than two in the bush. So for those reasons, I never signed anywhere else. And then Jacksonville became home at one point, and I didn't want to leave. And I wanted to. Hopefully, they would bring guys in to bring the city a ring, and it became my legacy. Ultimately, now my name will be in that stadium for as long as the Jaguars are an NFL team, as long as the stadium exists. It's a great honor. Great honor. Brought me to tears. That having gone back to retire a Jaguar. So it's Jaguars for life.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of Gator gear, so I got to talk to those guys. So I always rep my Jaguar gear, but I do have my Gator memorabilia and stuff sort of scattered out. But I have the best of both worlds, man. Just being in Florida, Gators, Jaguars, the fan base right there. It was great. I'm truly blessed.
We're speaking with Fred Taylor on the Titan More Hotline. A few more minutes with Fred. You got to play a little bit with the Patriots. I think a lot of people forget that. What was it like playing with Tom Brady?
Tom is the GOAT. Tom is the absolute, GOAT. And before, I would tell everybody that Peyton Manning was the GOAT. And I think they can be GOAT 1A, GOAT 1B, whatever, but they're both great. But I would always say Peyton Manning, because we played him in the AFC South. We played him at University of Tennessee. Peyton and I, we went on a recruiting visit together to Florida State. And just our relationship, I would always say Peyton, because he was great, and I didn't know Tom personally. Then I get to New England, have an opportunity to be in the room, studying with Tom, being in the backfield with Tom, looking at his demand, his attentiveness, his sense of urgency, the fact that he treated everybody fairly the same, no matter if you were, a 12-year vet, myself at the time, or a practice squad guy. He treated everybody with the same respect, and he demanded, greatness from everyone, whether it be practice or in the game. I'll tell you a quick Tom Brady story. It was my first year there in New England, third preseason game, Redskins. And that's the game where, that's your big dress rehearsal, third preseason game. And just before the game, Kevin Falk went out with an injury. So now they take me and inserted me in one of Kevin Falk's position, because most offenses the halfback, you're just H, you spread out to the left if you're in spread five wide, or you're the F, you're spread out to the right, spread or empty. That was it. But in the Patriots system, they had 12 five wide formations, and you had to know Z, Y, F, X, and H. And you can be inserted anywhere. In this particular play, I had to run a Y hook from the number 3 slot. So that was tight end position. But the defense gave us a coverage that the quarterbacks and the offense coordinator, they changed just before the game with Kevin Falk. I didn't get that communication. So I ran a certain route, and Tom threw it inside. I hooked outside, and he chewed me out. 12-year vet, preseason game, not serious. He chewed me out. And later he came to me and apologized. Freddie, I'm sorry. You know, Kevin's not here. We only discussed it with Kevin. So I apologize, man. I owe you a drink. So I thought that was great, but it shows you his sense of urgency, and he deserves every ring that he's won. Just a great person. You know, I don't think any of it's media. Some people say, oh, it's too good to be true. You know, he has to have some sort of asshole in him or whatever. No, he's a good guy. And it was a pleasure being a teammate.
Yeah. Fred, you're currently one of only 3 running backs in National Football League history with at least 4.6 rushing yards per attempt with at least 2,500 career carries. We're talking Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, and Fred Taylor. That's good company there, my man. And I know the Hall of Fame, you know, you don't want to talk about it, but if you were probably in a different organization, if you had played for the Cowboys, the Steelers, Dolphins, or whomever, you'd probably be in the Hall of Fame. You agree or disagree?
No, I totally agree, Shane. I think when you look at my numbers, look at the current guys that are in there, the current group of backs, I'm right there in the middle. You know, retired number 15 all the time, 11,695. Few injuries kept me short of my goal, which was to crack top 10 and pass Jim Brown, my all-time favorite. But yeah, I mean, for where I finished my career, the touches, just everything across the board, the total yardage from that running back position. And looking at the guys that are in there, and I asked myself, so what's the criteria? If we're talking about eras, you know, let's talk about the defenses that I faced it. The amount of guys that I faced from a defensive standpoint that are Hall of Famers. When you talk about, you know, Ray Lewis, the Ed Reeds, the Derrick Brooks, the Warren Sapps, and guys that are up in consideration, mentioning the John Lynches. And these are players that they look at my ability and what I did for the game, and they say, Fred, you deserve a jacket. You know, this is coming from Hall of Famers, the Champ Baileys of the world as well. The lack of marketability, you know, is one thing. Not taking full advantage of marketing opportunities. You know, when things were hot, when I was a younger player and things were on fire, you know, the league would call me up and say, hey, we have this opportunity, this show, or whatever it might be. Like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'd just rather spend time with my family and hang out here with my buddies. And I didn't grow Fred Taylor, the brand. Mm-hmm. So just looking back on those things, and then the injuries crept in, playing in Jacksonville, again, a quiet market. I think when I look at my career and I look at a lot of my seasons from October through December, my numbers started to increase. I got stronger. My numbers got better during those times when I was healthy. First part of the season was a little slower. It was hot. It was those numbers are a little lighter. But the NFL, they stopped the Pro Bowl voting at the beginning of December. That never made a whole lot of sense. It would be so easy if you just take the top 3 guys statistically, or just you guys are honored to be those guys or whatever. It makes it a lot easier. But missing some Pro Bowls has some stuff to do with it. couple seasons there, my numbers were better than a few of the guys that went to the Pro Bowl. So I think I have an argument. I think I deserve the nod to be able to be enshrined in Canton. I think it'll come at some point, someday. I think now, considering that I made semifinalists, my foot is one step closer in the door. Not to say it's closer in the door to, I guess I can say it's closer in the door to Canton, but more so closer to allowing the selectors and voters and more of an opportunity to research and dig in. Because not until you make the semifinals and finals, that's when they do the deep dive and they start saying, okay, well, this guy, we've overlooked this guy. Oh, he was special. Look at what he did to the great Steelers defenses for all those years they were aligned in the AFC Central. Throw the Ravens in there. You throw the Titans in there. These were the top-ranked defenses.
Right.
You know, and a lot of other stuff, Shane. I don't want to go too far away from the interview, but it's just a lot of other things where I feel other guys didn't play the caliber of defenses that I played, but their numbers were better. But a lot of other stuff. But yeah. It's out there. It's out there.
We got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Frank. Frank wants to know, you played against Dan Marino in his last career game, and you basically took that game over. I want to say that was that playoff game, 60-something.
99.
Outstanding day. What did it mean to, I mean, people came to that game to watch Dan Marino, basically, and here's Fred Taylor. He just kind of took it over.
Yeah, it was, that was in 1999. I had a hamstring injury that year. Excuse me. And it slowed me down a lot, a ton. And entering that game, was able to rest a little bit because we had a bye week, but still not quite 100%. But we just came in and then out of the box throws an interception to Aaron Beasley on the sideline and then another fumble to Tony Brackens. And he wasn't being Dan Marino. And it got us the ball back. And we did so much damage so early in that game where we didn't even play the fourth quarter or much of it at all. It was a light day for me. I could have probably set all types of playoff records had I played the entire game. But it's just a memorable game, and family and friends and total strangers, you know, living here in South Florida, total strangers, they'll come up to me. You're the Dolphin Killers. You are the Dolphin Killer. I remember that game, and I hated you, but I love you as a player. And it's just a gang of memories, a ton of memories. Definitely one of my better games. But yeah, definitely thought we won the Super Bowl that year too.
Yeah. Last thing for you, your son Kelvin got to run out of the tunnel. We're number 21 here at the University of Florida. How'd that feel, being a dad, seeing your son play running back and we're number 21?
You know, that part was great. I think sometimes the whole hassle of being a former player, a father of a current student athlete at your alma mater, you know, the hassle in that is the NCAA. Obviously, you can't do this, you can't do that. So that took away from some of it. But still, nothing would take away the fact that my son, you know, just looking back, 94 through 97, being drafted in 98, just running out of the tunnel, seeing myself running out of the tunnel, and 21, Taylor on the back, seeing him run out the tunnel, the same thing. Those memories, I remember a lot of times just, you know, being on the edge of my seat, you know, hoping that he can rip one or, you know, hoping that he doesn't get injured, you know, and just seeing himself enjoy it. You know, having to hear and be a regular fan. I wanted to go in the trenches. You know, I had opportunity to sit in the box or sit in the Gator Club and all that stuff. No, I want to be out here as a fan. You know, I want to be out here in the 90 degrees amongst the crowd, man, and enjoying the crowd, taking photos with the fans, not taking away from the game too much because I came to see my son, but just the whole atmosphere, just being able to see it from that perspective and cheer him on is another amazing feeling.
What's Kelvin up to these days?
Well, he's still training. I tell him that window is pretty much about that big, you know, but he's still hopeful to get back and play at some point, maybe Canada. You know, that with the XFL and these other different leagues, he never really fully recovered in his knee, his meniscus that he injured his rookie year out in San Fran. But he still loves the game. You know, he still loves the game, so he does some training. And his word to me is, "Pops, I got another carry in me. We're gonna make it happen somewhere." So I just wish him the best. I pray for him and hope that all works out.
Final thing for you, Fred. I ask all the people that played for the HBC, they got to have a story, a Spurrier story. One that you can tell on air. You got a funny story to tell our fans?
You know, I got a funny story. But more importantly, I got a story going back to me, that suspension in '96 that pretty much changed my entire life. I was about to get suspended. And Coach Spurrier, he just came to bat for me. He came to bat for me, and he never did that for anyone for that matter. But he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. He believed in me. So Coach Spurrier ended up, again, just going back to that. When he vouched for me, he knocked it from 4 games to 3 games, and I had a good year and senior after that. But something funny, aside from him being a great coach, he was a compassionate person. But Coach Spurrier, I know he would tell the guys, "Hey, like if you made a mistake, hey, it's not your fault, Shane. Come on over here by the old ball coach. You know, we recruited you. It's not your fault." That's something that I would never understand. That hurt more than anything.
Oh yeah, it's not
You
your
know, just
fault.
tell me, "Hey, you messed up," but don't
That's
say,
your fault.
"Hey, it's not your fault. We recruited. It's our fault. It's okay." You know, that hurt more than anything. But it's tons and tons and tons of more stories out there. But that's one that always comes to mind first.
Well, Fred Taylor, we appreciate you joining the show today. Hope you and your family are doing well. Stay safe, my man, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for that gold jacket.
Appreciate you, Shane. Always a pleasure, man. Thanks. Go Gators.
All right, that's Fred Taylor joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Frank Frangie, voice of the Jaguars. You're watching and listening
Frank.
to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice in Gainesville for all your area rug cleaning services. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Bob in trouble, gets ready to throw, big hit.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guide, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Radware, Style Cuts, Wrap Spot, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Chris Doring Mortgage, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance, and Pomodoro Cafe. If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, podupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators come to celebrate, with premium brands like Bass Pro Shops, Starbucks, and Regal Cinemas. And coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point. I want to thank Fred Taylor for joining us. Now we're going to go back to the Titan MR Hotline. We're joined by Frank Frangie, my good buddy over in Jax. You can check him out on the Frank Frangie Show on 1010 XL. And he's also the voice of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Shane, I'm good. I thought you and I were talking before. I haven't been to games in a while. I want to come to the ball coach's restaurant. When's that thing open?
Well, it's not open yet. It's not open.
I know.
It's
When's it
going to
open?
open up. It's in the new area, Celebration Point,
Right.
that we were talking about. But he's going to have an upstairs outdoor rooftop bar called Visors.
Right. That's perfect. I want to come for the opening night. Okay, I'm coming. I'm hanging with you for opening night at the ball coach's place. Can't wait.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Frank, we had Fred Taylor on earlier. Obviously, you've been in Jacksonville a long time. I'm a big believer. I think Fred Taylor should be an NFL Hall of Famer. Your thoughts?
I totally agree with you, and I think he will be too. I think he should be, and I think he will be. We have two challenges here. Bassell should be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best left tackles of all time, but he didn't play long enough, Shane. He played probably 5 years or 6 years, but in the Pro Bowl 5 of those years. He was all Pro 4 of them. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He's the only member of the All-Decade team of the 90s that's not in. So he should be in the Hall of Fame for sure. And I think Fred should be. Two things work against Fred. Number one, the size of the market. It just is. It's not a well-known market. The other thing is he was in the AFC the same year where guys in more prominent markets and more prominent teams were playing. He played when Bettis played. He played when Curtis Martin played. He played when Edger and James played. Those were all AFC guys. And back then, AFC, NFC was how you did the Pro Bowl. It's how you do it again now. So he didn't make many Pro Bowls. He only played in one. He was a better player. All those yards. He was as good a combination, Shane, I think, of power and speed as the NFL seen. I mean, he was that good at all that stuff. So, no, he should. I absolutely think Fred should be in. And I think Fred will be in. I'd be very surprised if Fred, he's going to have to wait, but I think Fred's going to be in the Hall.
Yeah. Let's talk, before we get to the Gators and stuff, the NFL, you being a voice of the Jaguars, the contract that Patrick Mahomes just signed. You know, I've said, you know, there's always these kids that come along and he has a chance to be the best ever. This guy has a chance to be the best ever. Well, this kid has a chance to be the best ever, in my opinion. He was blessed with a tremendous arm. He's got great mobility. He can make all the throws. Your thoughts on Pat Mahomes and the money that he's going to be making?
Well, number one, the richest guy is always the newest guy, right? But this is LeBron James. This is Mike Trout. This is the NFL's LeBron. So he should make all the money. So someone's going to come along and make more because the next guy always makes more. But I think it was smart on everybody's behalf. He's locked up for 10 years. He's with a great quarterbacks coach. You know how important that is. Yeah. He's in a market that's perfect for him. It's close to where he played college football. I think it's perfect. He's a good guy. He's the new guy. He's the new. You got to be a little bit athletic now. You got to have. He's got a rifle arm. When he was in the draft, we were doing a draft show, and Logman told me during the draft, he said, Frank, he assesses all these guys. He said, he's got the best arm I've ever seen in the draft. And I said, best? Like ever? I mean, he wasn't even going to be drafted in the top 4 or 5 picks. He said, I'm telling you, the best arm. Well, he was right. He's got Elway's arm. He's got Randall Cunningham's mobility. He's smart as hell. He's a great player, and he should make that kind of money. But again, he's the face of the league, Shane. He's LeBron. He's Mike Trout. So I'm not surprised he'll always make that money.
Yeah, he's a good one for sure. So the Major League Baseball players, NBA, are supposed to be cranking up at the end of this month. Your thoughts? How crucial is it for them to have success for us to be able to play football this year?
Well, see, baseball's the key. You hit it. Basketball's a different paradigm. It's indoors. It's 15, 18,000 seat arenas. Baseball's the most like football. It's played in outdoor stadiums. It's played in front of 30, 40, 50,000 people. It's the most like football. So baseball, now there's not contact. That's the difference, obviously. But that'll be the template. Number one, can they play? Number two, will they have to break because 10 guys tested positive? How will it look without fans? That's the whole thing. See, baseball, forget golf. I'm glad they're playing. I'm glad NASCAR's running. I think the NBA's going to be fun to watch down there in Orlando. But baseball's the template for football because it's the one that's most like football. Soccer, too. We just don't care much about soccer in our country. Baseball, yes, I think baseball is the template. I think baseball will tell us how football is going to go. Look, we need football, okay? People love baseball. People crave football. I don't care if it's the NFL or college football. There's a craving in our country for football that is different than basketball, hockey, baseball, golf. We love those, but unless you're a diehard, you don't crave those. America craves football, so I think we're going to have football.
Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. Frank, so we, in my opinion, we have to play football at some point this year, and I'm talking college football because not only athletic programs won't make it, but I don't think a lot of institutions around the country will make it if they don't play football. Do you think college football starts on time? If not, do you think they should do it in the spring?
If you'd asked me this 3 weeks ago, I'd have said starts on time, or a month ago, starts on time, no break, media days, the whole bit. Eastern Washington comes across the country. These fighting McElwains come over there and play the Gators, and everything would be normal. I don't think so now. And you ask me next week, Shane, it'll change. I think this thing's been very fluid. But if you ask me today, I think we'll have football in the fall. I don't think it's going to go to the spring. I think that's an absolute last resort. So I think it's going to be in the fall. But I would be surprised if Eastern Washington's here. Wouldn't you? I mean, I'd be surprised. I think the conference games will come off. If you ask me to guess right now, I'd say we're going to start late, but we'll start. We'll start with limited fans. The conference games will be played. I'm guessing the Florida State game will be played. But I would guess right now a late start. And let me be clear, this is a wild guess, man. Nobody knows. Right. And everyone's afraid to guess. Anyone says they know is wrong because they don't know. None of us know. The administrators don't know. We're all just guessing. So I'm just guessing here. But my guess would be today, a late start, conference games, maybe one non-conference game, an abbreviated season, but played in the fall. And again, ask me next week, I'll change my mind, but that's what I feel today.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people agree with what you just said, but my argument to that is, South Alabama is supposed to come to the swamp this year. South Alabama needs that paycheck for them to continue playing football. If the teams like the South Alabamas of the world don't get that big paycheck against the big boys, they're going to survive.
Yeah, well, I hear you, but I think they're going to have to change their P&L, Shane. I think the world's going to be different for the small schools, and that's a shame. And it really is. It's collateral damage, if you will. But I think that's just the way of the world. Yes, every one of those schools are part of the college football ecosystem. Nobody denies that. We feed the beast and help South Alabama play because of that $800,000 check they're getting to fly to Gainesville. I get it. But I think that something's got to give. And I think that's what's going to give. Look, people don't want to get on planes. That's the big thing. The Patriot League, the Ivy League, they're not getting on planes anymore. So again, it changes so much. Didn't you think a month or two ago we had positive momentum? We're headed in the right direction, and then the world changed again. So it could change again for all I know, but I don't think so. I hear you. I hear your point. I wish we could keep it that way, but I think the South Alabamas of the world that count on those big dollar paychecks from the big schools are in trouble. I think they're going to have to rebuild, redesign their business model. Look, it's all about credit. It's credit from the banks now. It's making cash flow work. I think that changes for everybody, and I think the smaller schools are going to get hurt. I really do.
We're speaking with Frank Frangie from 1010XL. You can check him out on Twitter at Frank_Frangie, also voice of the Jaguars. Frank, there's a lot of talk about the Redskins changing their name, the Indians, the Braves. What do you think about all this?
Well, Shane, my take on it has been this. I don't know what offends and what doesn't. I have no problem changing a name if it offends. I'm an old guy. I'm a traditionalist. I'm 61 years old, so I like the way we've done it. But if it offends people, I have no problem with some of the changes. If somebody represented persecution in the past, whether it's slavery, whether it's disrespecting Native American names, I'm okay with that. If someone says that we're better off changing it, I have no problem with changing it. I don't think I pounded the pulpit for the change like maybe I should have, but I think I'm okay with that. Most of them don't bother me very much. The Gator bait one bothers me.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Your thoughts on
I don't. All the other ones I'm okay with. If you're offending somebody, change it. We don't need to be offending people, and if it's offensive to people, change it. I get most of those, Shane, and I'm okay with it. Again, I'm a very non-political person. Boy, the Gator bait one. I don't think anybody ever thought of that as anything other than a fun chant. I don't think anybody ever drew a connection between harming children of any race. So of all the ones, that one probably bothers me the most. Probably because I'm a Florida guy. I went to Florida, right? But the other ones don't bother me. If the Indians change their name, the Redskins change their name, and that makes people happy, I'm totally okay with that. If people are offended by that, I don't think we should do anything that's out there offending people. So change the name. The Gator bait one bothers me. That one probably, and I said this on the air, I don't know if it's because I'm a Florida guy or it just seems so overreaching a little bit. So that one probably bothers me more than the other ones.
Yeah, I agree. Frank, you're a big baseball guy. and talk about the charity that you have called Walk Off Charities. Y'all put together, I think, a baseball tournament since baseball season got wiped out for a lot of these high school kids.
Yeah, Shane, walk off is something. It's a passion of mine. I'm a big baseball guy. Baseball is my favorite sport. Always has been. Baseball's become suburban. Baseball's become a rich kid sport. It's lacrosse and soccer and at the youth level, and I think that's sad. Shane, in the 1970s, 27% of major league players were African American. 27%. I'm not talking about Dominican or Puerto Rican or players of Latin descent, but 27% were African American. Black men born in America. Right now, it's 7%. Only 7% of Major League Baseball are African American players. It's become a suburban sport. So our thinking is, what if we took baseball not just to the inner city, but to underserved kids in all areas? A lot of them don't have a glove. Can you imagine a kid growing up without a glove? They have a glove. And so we're teaching them baseball. Some of the best baseball coaches in town, the college and high school coaches, are part of our clinic program. Part of it we do it with the Duval County School Board in conjunction with the school board. We do field trips. We bring 200 kids at a time. We teach them to pitch and hit and throw and catch. We give them a glove. They're thrilled with this. We feed them lunch and send them back to school. And then the ones that want to play, we pursue it and we put them in a league and we pay for them to play in the league. We're just trying to get kids back involved in baseball. Well, this year we have a big fundraiser most summers that we do down at the baseball grounds here in town. Well, that got wiped out with the COVID because everything got wiped out, right? So we put together, and in conjunction with that, all these high school kids didn't get to play. Their seasons ended. The little leagues never even started. So we said, what if we put together a little tournament? We'll have everybody out. Anybody wants to play, get a team from your neighborhood. Get your high school team. The seniors who didn't get to finish their season. Not every senior is going to junior college or college baseball. Some, that's it. They're going to play high school baseball and then they're going to do whatever. So it's a chance for them to play. We have a great tournament. We have tons of teams, almost 30 teams in this thing. And it was supposed to start Monday, but I realized it rains every day. It's going to rain every day for the rest of my freaking life. So we may never get it in. But we're trying to play it out here. We have these fields where I grew up. We've kind of redone. So we're very excited about it. We're very excited about what it is and what it means. And we're trying to let people play. And we're just trying to, everybody, it was $5 admission, Shane. Everybody who spends $5 buys a glove for one of these kids. And that's the cool thing. $5, but we get these gloves. And the way we ship them in, we get them about 2,000 at a time. So we're getting them for $5 a pop. So anybody that spends $5 to come watch this thing is putting a glove on a kid's hand that never would have had a glove. So that's what we're doing, and we've done it about 4 years now, and we're kind of proud of it. And then it's hopefully affecting lives. It's certainly getting kids. Every kid should play Little League baseball. Every kid, even if you don't pursue it after that. We all play youth league baseball. Your kid played, you played, I played. Everyone should get a crack at baseball. So we're hopefully helping them do it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Last thing for you, Frank, your thoughts. A lot of the publications have come out now, the Lindy's, the Athlons, all those type things. Gators ranked very high. This could be the year that Florida gets back to Atlanta. Your quick thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, Kyle Trask deserves a royalty because he's on the cover of every one. He may be on more of them than you and Werfel were on. I mean, he's on the cover of every one of these things. Look, COVID notwithstanding, I told you this last time I was on. I think Florida's really good. I think they have a really good team. He's a really good play caller. I think Trask is a really good college quarterback. They're going to be good defensively because Todd Grantham's a good coordinator. They're going to be athletic. In today's football, college or NFL, if you are fast on defense and you have good quarterback play, you have a chance. I don't care who you pick it. I don't care if it's in high school. I don't care if it's an 8-man football. I don't care if it's in the NFL or anywhere in between. If you can run on defense and you have quarterback play. Shane, when you were at Florida, and it was 100 years ago because you're old now, okay? When you were at Florida, you were a really good quarterback, and that defense with Godfrey Miles and Tim Paulk was really fast. And if you're fast on defense and have a really good quarterback, you're going to have a really good team. Nothing's changed, okay? In 20, 30, 40 years from now, it's going to be the same way, right? I think Trask is a really good player. I think Florida can really run on defense. I think they're really good. Now, Georgia's like that, too. If the Georgia quarterback, the kid from Wake Forest, Jamie Newman's good, then Georgia's really good again, too. But I think Florida's going to have a terrific team. I think it's going to be real. You don't know how much. See, this year, who managed the offseason better? Because they're not around their players. So who comes back in good shape? Maybe Vanderbilt comes back in better shape than South Carolina this year because they managed the offseason better. It's a whole different paradigm. It's a new normal. But all that notwithstanding, I think Florida's got a good team. Man. An easy schedule, really good team, veteran quarterback. I'd be surprised if they do play if Florida doesn't have a really big year this year.
I agree with you. Frank, appreciate you taking the time to join us today, man. Be safe. Hit them straight this week.
I'll do it, Shane. Take care, buddy.
All right, that's Frank Frangie. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. We're going to take our final time out of the program. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
Time out! Time out! Hey, time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your area rug cleaning services. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Bob in trouble, gets ready to fall. Big hit.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Gators Dockside, Aikido America Martial Arts and After School, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Radware, Style Cuts, Wrap Spot, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Chris Doring Mortgage, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance, and Pomodoro Cafe. If you are interested in promoting your business on this show, you can visit our website, podupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. This day in sports is brought to you by Area Rug Masters. Don't fight your area rugs. Take them to Area Rug Masters. With their convenient curbside services, you will never need to go anywhere else. Call them at 352-448-5999. In 2000, Wimbledon women's tennis. Venus Williams wins her first career Grand Slam singles title. She beats fellow American Lindsay Davenport back in 2000. Folks, don't forget to follow our show on Facebook. Also, you can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. We got a great show lined up for you tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss it. We got Pat Dooley from the Gainesville Sun. He's a columnist. Everybody knows old Pat. But we're going to have Laura Rutledge from ESPN SEC Network. She pretty much does everything for ESPN now. So should be a tremendous, tremendous show. Make sure you, like I said, tune in tomorrow. But today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Folks, be safe out there. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.